The day my father threatened to cut off my tuition unless I attended my golden brother's wedding was the day I finally revealed my hidden success. I was already earning more than him. My father had always treated me like an afterthought in our family, completely infatuated with my brother. His words still echo in my mind. You know what? I don't care if you got accepted to some prestigious college. You'll go to the local college because we don't want your brother feeling jealous of you. So I played their game. Okay, fine, Dad. I'll go to that college, but only if I can stay in the dorms. It was a complete lie. While they thought I was at the local school, I was actually attending the prestigious university on a scholarship they knew nothing about. The explosion when they find out will be nuclear. But ask yourself, how would you react if the people who barely acknowledged your existence for 3 years suddenly demanded you play happy family for a day? Nearly impossible, right? That's the cruel irony of family, especially mine. Let me properly introduce myself. I'm Ethan, and if you haven't figured it out yet, my family is so dysfunctional I question whether we even qualify as one. What do you call people who bring you into this world only to discard you when they find a superior replacement? That's not family. That's a tragedy waiting to happen. I could have had a normal, loving family if my parents had simply treated their 2 sons equally. But no, Liam and Claire, yes, those are my parents' names, were too busy worshiping my brother Daniel from the moment he was born. Daniel was everything I wasn't. The picture-perfect healthy baby who immediately became the center of attention, while I was just the scrawny, unremarkable sibling no one wanted to hold. Should superficial differences like that determine how parents treat their children? In any just world, no. But in my family, it became the foundation of our entire dynamic. Within months of Daniel's birth, he was crowned the golden child, receiving endless praise and adoration despite doing nothing special. He wasn't exceptional, just more conventionally attractive. I became the forgotten background character in my own family's story. You can imagine how devastating this was for a child. While Daniel was showered with love, I received only the bare minimum: food, shelter, and complete emotional neglect. My brother grew into a spoiled monster who made my life hell, and my parents enabled every bit of it. The bullying started early. Daniel seemed to take pleasure in making me miserable, whether by throwing tantrums that ruined my plans or physically taking my belongings. And why wouldn't he? Our parents never once disciplined him. I was the shy introvert. He was the tyrant who ruled our household. One memory stands out particularly sharp: 3rd grade, when I brought home a perfect report card. I was so proud, certain this would finally earn me some recognition. But when I showed it to my mother, "That's good," she mumbled absent-mindedly before gushing over some ridiculous finger painting Daniel had made. His sloppy dog drawing got pride of place on the fridge. My academic achievement went straight to the junk drawer. That moment perfectly encapsulates my childhood. I was the discarded report card while Daniel's every mediocre accomplishment was celebrated like a masterpiece. It wasn't just about school. Daniel dictated our family vacations, our meals, even what we watched on TV. Every time I tried to have a say, I was shot down, and Daniel would rub it in my face with that infuriating smirk. Daniel wasn't just the golden child. He was the tyrannical ruler of our household, and I was his unwilling servant. That's why when I got the chance to escape through a scholarship to one of the world's top universities, I clung to it like a drowning man to a lifeline. This was the kind of school that practically prints money for its graduates, a real game changer. But of course, Liam and Claire immediately shut it down. "You'll attend the local state college instead," Liam declared. Their reasoning? They were worried Daniel might feel inadequate if I went somewhere prestigious. Not that Daniel couldn't have earned his own way. No, that would require actual effort. Instead, I was expected to deliberately limit myself to protect his fragile ego. The truth was painfully obvious. They needed to maintain their narrative of Daniel's superiority at all costs. Supporting my ambitions would shatter their carefully constructed illusion. So I played along. "Fine," I told them, "but I'm living in the dorms." Claire actually got misty-eyed with relief, thinking they'd successfully clipped my wings. Little did they know I'd already accepted the scholarship and was packing my bags. What followed was the most liberating period of my life. Completed my degree in just 2 years, versus 4 at the local college. Landed an immediate 6-figure job offer. Now being considered for a VP position at just 24. The delicious irony. Liam still faithfully sends tuition payments every semester, completely unaware I graduated years ago. I consider it partial repayment for 18 years of emotional labor. I make just enough appearances at home to maintain the charade. A holiday visit here, a brief phone call there. They're so wrapped up in Daniel's world that they haven't noticed anything amiss. Honestly, their obliviousness is almost impressive. For years, I was the ghost in my own family, until my father's call dragged me back into their twisted fairy tale. I'd learned to live with being invisible. Did it ache when Liam and Claire didn't notice I'd moved across the country? Sometimes. But their absence was its own relief. Still, in weaker moments, I'd catch myself yearning for what others had. Not my toxic family, but the idea of one that actually gave a damn. Then the phone rang. "Daniel's getting married. We need you home early to help," Liam said, his tone leaving no room for refusal. My hands clenched. After a lifetime of being erased, they now demanded I play the devoted brother? For one dizzying heartbeat, I almost considered it. Maybe they'd changed. The illusion shattered fast. These were the same people who didn't react when I disappeared for 3 years, let Daniel break my belongings while they smiled, called my scholarship a slap to Daniel's pride. Now they wanted me to stand in their wedding photos? The manipulation came instantly. First, Claire's guilt. Daniel will be crushed. He'd skipped my graduation claiming a headache. Blood means everything, unless you're the blood they blot out. When that failed, Liam's threats. "We'll cut your tuition." Meaningless. I'd graduated. "We'll unenroll you." From the college I'd never attended. I sent a single reply, "No." Their rage told me everything. This was never about family, just the cracks in their perfect facade. What they still don't know. Their tuition payments fund my stock portfolio. I make triple Daniel's salary. I blocked their numbers after the threat some ghost should stay buried. The moment my father stormed into that college registrar's office, his entire fantasy world collapsed, and I wish I could have seen his face. I could have told him the truth months ago, but watching his slow unraveling was far more satisfying. Now I just wait for the inevitable explosion when he realizes, 1. I never attended his precious local college. 2. His tuition money funded my early career investments. 3. I've been earning 6 figures since graduation. The call came this morning. Liam was apoplectic, screaming about stolen money and betrayal, as if he hadn't stolen my entire childhood. The scene at the college, imagine him, red-faced, demanding to withdraw Jonas from classes, only to learn no such student existed. The registrar's confused stare, the way his hands must have shaken holding that empty file. When I finally confessed, scholarship, salary, everything, the silence was delicious. Then came the predictable meltdown. "You liar! After all we sacrificed." Sacrificed? They sacrificed me to Daniel's ego. "You will attend that wedding." Or what? He'd unenroll me harder? I let him rant until his voice cracked, then dropped the final bomb. "You have one son. Always did." Click. Blocked. 1 month later, Claire called from a burner number sobbing about missing her baby. Too late. Where was this energy when Daniel was smashing my toys? When they threw out my honor roll certificates? I almost pitied her, until she whispered, "Roman's marriage is failing. He needs you." Classic, even their love came with strings attached. My mother's sudden "I miss you" act made me suspicious. Where was this energy when I first cut them off? I hung up immediately, promising to call back later. Something felt wrong, so I reached out to my aunt, my mother's sister, for answers. What she revealed confirmed my worst suspicions. Daniel's wedding had been a complete scam. His picture-perfect fiancée turned out to be a con artist who convinced my parents, Daniel, and other relatives to invest their life savings in a fake opportunity. She disappeared with everything. No wedding, no money, just devastation. But the disaster didn't stop there. My father's temper had destroyed his failing business after he provoked a violent incident with an employee, and they'd lost their home using it as collateral for a doomed loan. Now they were living in a rundown trailer, completely broke. Everything became clear. Their sudden interest in reconciliation wasn't about me. They were desperate. My father had wanted me at that wedding to salvage his reputation, to pretend we were a perfect family while his world crumbled. The irony was almost funny. The golden child they'd sacrificed everything for had ruined them, and now they saw me as their last hope. I wasn't falling for it. I blocked my mother again. No way was I letting them manipulate me now. But they didn't give up. My parents showed up at my door, begging me to help, crying about family duty and how they'd spent their last dollars just to see me. I slammed the door in their faces. Days later, Daniel arrived, sobbing about how much he missed his big brother. Big brother? The same Daniel who made my childhood hell? I locked him out too, warning them all that next time I'd call the police. Now finally the silence is real. No calls, no guilt trips, just peace. Part of me is sad it came to this, that the family I once wanted will always be a hollow space inside me. but I'm done cleaning up their messes. Let them suffer the consequences of the monster they created.